Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Mahoney Brains, how are you? I always ask how you doing because that's important to me. How you feeling? I want to check in. You stop by my spot, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses, they're never dull. Never dull. We're going to the land down under, one of my favorite places on the planet. And today we're going to talk with Joy Haley. Are you smoking? Are you still smoking? Here in America, you go somewhere and you smoke and you smell like smoke. You are shamed. Oh, yes. You got to go outside, across the street, down the road, in the alley. And the price of cigarettes are just through the roof. I mean, get a bottle of tequila for the same price that you pay for cigarettes. And what is it doing to you? Look, we already know what it's going to do to your lungs, but your mind and your heart. But what's more important is, what is the root cause of the addiction? Because that's a pattern. That's a cycle. And it could be cigarettes, it could be cocaine, it could be sex, it could be pornography, destructive behavior. So what we want to do is we want to encapsulate those emotions and then break free. We're going to do that with Joy Haley. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, April. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And my name is Joy Haley, and I've overcome an addiction of 45 years of smoking cigarettes.
Woo!
And I tell you something, you just hit something on the nail. It's also happening here in Australia, is the feeling that we're made to believe that we're terrible, that we're horrible because we're a smoker. And in any addiction, it's because it's like a Band-Aid. When you put a Band-Aid on a sore and you keep on just putting that Band-Aid over that sore, it doesn't fix the sore. You need to deal with it. And I found after 45 years of trying to stop smoking with nicotine replacement therapy, whether it was patches, whether it was medicine, sprays, medication, and in the end, hypnotherapy, and none of it worked. I was actually told I was just doing it the wrong way and it was my fault. And cigarettes here, I don't know what they are in the States, but here that I was looking at it the other day, one of the top line packets of cigarettes of 40 was nearly $90 a packet. You heard right.
$90 a packet?
$90.
How many are in a packet?
That packet was 40, but there's smokers who smoke a packet of 40 in a day. So that's over $25,000 a year in cigarettes. And the thing is that most of it is taxation. So they're penalizing people into submission to try and get them to stop smoking. But the thing is with that sort of push is the money's not going back into helping them to quit. It's just penalizing them. And it's that another squeeze that makes them feel horrible. And I went through that and I got so angry about it. And what had happened was, and my passion is to help women in their 50s to also get over this addiction to the nicotine, was that in 2019, I found out I was carrying a defective gene. And the defective gene would lead to, if I smoke cigarettes, a high risk of breast cancer, high risk of ovarian cancer, and the worst one was pancreatic cancer, which increased by 40% if I still smoke cigarettes. And so one of my surgeons said to me, Joy, I know you've tried everything in the book to try and stop smoking, but I need you to find another way. And so I went away from our meeting and I thought, I have to find another way because I'm doomed to get cancer if I continue to smoke. So I went searching on the internet and I couldn't find much information. So I just kept on attempting with the patches 3 or 4 times that year. And then I just really knuckled down. I went, you know what? I'm going to have to find a way myself. And because I was focusing on how to stop smoking, then I realized it hit me like a ton of bricks that the wall of resistance that we feel when we're trying to stop an addiction is because that there's a pain point. And I realized that pain point was the reason why I started to smoke in the first place. It wasn't just about the nicotine resistance. And that pain point was I had to deal with my childhood trauma. You see, I started smoking at the age of 12 to cope with the fact I was being sexually abused at home. And with that abuse, it wasn't just one abuser, it was several. And as a young child, I was frozen in fear. I was in disbelief, and the smoking was a good coping mechanism so I could hide my pain within the nicotine. And as I got older, I thought, gee, I'll get over this nicotine thing. It's just for now. But that just for now, by the time I reached my mid 20s, I was smoking more than a packet a day. And the psychological effect of all the abuse was catching up on me, and I'd have counseling. I had lots of counseling and coaching over it. But when I didn't, as a 16-year-old, I didn't let it just stop me. Um, I I went to the authorities about what was happening. And if I thought that the abuse was bad, it's what happened next that really made it even worse. You see, I was sent away from my home and the abusers stayed at home. I tried to commit suicide and I was locked away. And when they locked me away into an institution, they threatened me with electric shock treatment.
Mm.
They threatened and lots of things to get me to talk. I refused to talk. And I used to hide my medication under my tongue and I wouldn't let them know that I was really losing it underneath. I had to stay calm on the outside because I did not want to get shocked. And they were treating people in that hospital for homosexuals were given electric shock treatment so that they wouldn't be gay anymore. Girls that were 13 who had ADHD, they were giving electric shock treatment to get them in line. And I can remember I had a family member come and visit me after a couple of months. I said, "You've got to get me out of here. I'm going insane." And I told them what was happening. And within another 2 months, they got me out. So I was in there for quite a few months, but the damage was done.
Wow.
And I had to then fight for my life. I had to fight to finish my schooling. I was told, don't bother coming back to school because we don't believe that you can even do your school certificate.
Wow.
So I got really angry and I made sure that from then on in, it was up to me for my changes. So I went and got educated. I got a job in the government, but I was still smoking. So over the years, it built up. So we'll fast forward back to 2019. My mum had just passed away. And I thought, you know what? I have been through a lot of trauma in my life. I can find a way, because I always have, I can find a way to stop smoking. And so I developed a program that really looked at the deep patterns that we have with addiction. And I looked at mindset. I looked at all the things that I used to do for coping. And it was in that I realized that it was actually just 72 to 76 hours that after having my last cigarette was just a period of time that I needed to distract my brain long enough for the chemicals to be removed from my body. And when that was gone, I knew I succeeded.
Well, that's huge because I did a sugar detox. I did, man. We shouldn't have did it in Las Vegas when we was partying, but I
Yeah.
tell you, it was. I can't imagine what again, nicotine or alcohol or
Hmm.
heroin or cocaine. I can't imagine what that detox was like. I had a headache. I had brain fog. I was
Hmm.
angry. I was, had cravings,
Yeah.
and the nicotine is something else. Here in America, a lot of Black Americans like the taste of menthol,
Hmm.
and that menthol and that mentholated has really become addicting. That
Yes.
eucalyptus and mentholate.
Yeah.
And I know I was a smoker, but I was a real, one of those cool, sexy smokers. I'd have a cigarette after I eat, or I'm with my
Hmm.
friends or something like that. But one day, I bought a pack of them menthol cigarettes because I was annoyed, and I said, "Well, let me relieve my stress. Let me go have a cigarette." Joy, I got an allergic reaction
Mm.
like I had never felt before. My mouth started twitching and swelling.
Mhm.
My eyes started watering. My head started throbbing. And I was like, what is this? It was, I don't know if they put extra menthol in them. Now, here, cigarettes, last time I heard, they were like $20 a pack. But,
Mhm.
you buy them at the military base and they get them by the cartons. And so that's a couple $100. And the smell associated with it is so unattractive.
Mhm.
It's on your, and you don't think it is. I know my sister in
Mm.
law was a smoker. She worked at the dry cleaners.
Yeah.
I had her, she comp, so I give her my clothes. She gave me back my clothes in the plastic, and from her smoking, I said, "You just had these clothes clean." It was horrific.
Mhm.
Hair, your nails, your
Yeah.
teeth are bad. Your respiratory,
Mhm.
and when you cough up this mucusy like phlegm that's sticky and gummy, and people like that taste.
Yeah.
Um, so it is a lot. But then, like
Mhm.
you said, the psychological component to it
Mhm.
is a crutch. I know that I have some friends that have gotten out of rehab, and they might have gotten off cocaine, but they went right to the coffee and the cigarettes.
Yeah.
So it is the addictive behavior, and it's also the habit.
Yeah.
So give us a couple great tips to actually breaking it. I know looking at the root cause, is that
Mhm.
documenting it? Is it also
Yeah.
going into meditation? Is it a
Absolutely.
support group? Is
Mhm.
it, again, self-love and realize,
Forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself for every failure, for everything. Whatever if you've had childhood trauma, my actual breakthrough was actually forgiving all those people. Then I was ready because no point hanging on to the hatred and the pain. I had to let all that go. And then there was room for more self-love, self-forgiveness. And then I was able to have space in my brain and my heart for not only alignment, but also I had an ability to think clearly. And I went through the process. What were my habits? What were the triggers? And then I realized there's a muscle in our brain with the addiction because when you have a cigarette, it's the front part of your prefrontal cortex where the sticky components of the nicotine sticks there and gives you a buzz, makes you feel good. So the biggest thing in the challenge was to, between your cigarettes, this is why we start recording them down. If you can stretch the muscle of the withdrawal before it really becomes painful and annoying. So each time you stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it, when you have your quit day, they advise you to have your last cigarettes of a night time. That's the worst one in the morning to get over. I actually had my couple of cigarettes. My last ones were in the morning with a nice cup of coffee. I said goodbye to them. I really made it um, a nice session between me and the cigarettes because we were friends, but I had to unfriend my cigarette.
mm,
So my
you had like
advice
a
is,
ceremonial ritual.
yes, I had a ceremonial ritual, but also leading up to it, I had I stretch out my cigarettes so that when it come to that day of not having cigarettes any longer, when I felt that little bit of discomfort of, oh, am I about to have a urge to have a cigarette? I was used to that feeling. So it wasn't psychologically, it wasn't a big deal. And then all I had to do was distract myself for the first 24 hours.
Mm,
And there's a secret method that I've got in my free ebook where that distraction was what was, it just took the urgent away, the urgency of having a cigarette. And I went, I've won. I knew I won. And I didn't have a cigarette, never wanted one. And that was 4.5 years ago.
wow.
And little
Wow.
did I know, 6 weeks later, after that, my last cigarette, my surgeon rang me and said, you must come to Melbourne because we think your cancer started and we need to operate. And we had lockdown then in COVID. And the only reason why they allowed the surgery to go ahead, because I was the last surgery in that hospital before they locked down all the theatres, was that I was no longer smoking. They were sending women home that had cancer. They said, we'll proceed. You haven't been smoking? I said, no, I haven't been smoking. I gave up. And since then, I've had several surgeries, and all the surgeons and specialists would say, how did you do it? How did you stop? And I'd tell them, they said, please, can you write a book? Can you tell people how to do this? Because there's so many women struggling to stop smoking.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's how I came about into recording it all down. And so that's why I'm here to help other women.
Well, that is absolutely brilliant. It is. But also, as I said, Brains, we're talking about cigarettes, but you can probably still use a lot of these tips and tricks and
Hmm.
methodology to get over other types of addiction. Uh,
Yep.
the self-loathing, the self-harming. It could be, again, depression. It could be suicidal tendencies. It could
Hmm.
be a bad relationship with a partner. People are addicted to people.
Yep.
The pressure and the ambiance. It could be money. So these are things that also incorporate the mindset. I work with people now that, mindset is something that they consider kind of old hat. It's about consciousness. It's about awareness. It's about living in the present and living in the moment
Hmm.
because you can be fixated also on a mindset. How do you stay relevant? How do you stay conscious of what's going on? I mean, you'll hear people that get over alcohols, and this Brains. I love everybody, but this kind of gets me when someone says, "Hi, I'm Betty, and I'm an alcoholic." It seems like Betty is still stuck in that alcoholic mindset. I know that it's a constant reminder, but she can never forget what she's
Hmm.
been through or what she's going through. What
Hmm.
do you encourage people to do to stay present, to be aware, know that they've had this addictive personality, um, but forge ahead and not punish themselves?
Hmm. We change it with new habits.
Mm,
So to replace a habit, you've got to introduce the new habit first.
right. Mm-hmm.
So you make room for the new habit so it becomes the natural thing to do, and the other one there's no longer room to do. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't wait till you've finished something before you take it on. You take it on before you actually stop smoking. I actually encourage people to enjoy their last few cigarettes because their smoking has been their friend. So sometimes some friendships have to end.
Right.
So it really helps you let go, but you've already introduced new friendships. It could be in this to get your sensory. I couldn't believe my taste buds started to come back within a couple of days, but
Mm,
not until 2 years, 12 months to 2 years later, does the full taste come back, where ice cream is just off the charts, like the different flavors of ice cream. Fresh food, apples, crispy apples, getting used to texture in the mouth, in the taste buds that you used to get camouflaged with nicotine.
mm,
Fresh water, even soda water with a little bit of lemon juice in it, tingling, all these new sensations. You start doing this before you give up smoking. And then once you stop smoking or any other addiction, you've already introduced the new habit. The other is start walking, start exercising, getting out into the fresh air
right.
and listening.
Appreciation, appreciating the breath. And here, Brains,
Yeah.
I'm gonna share something with you. I'm not a smoker, but this is a eucalyptus inhaler
Yeah.
that I live by. And that will help people with the craving for the nicotine, the sensation.
Hmm.
It's the smell.
Yeah.
But those are great tips. Yeah, I've read a couple books on how to really incorporate new habits. And
Hmm.
that is a great idea and start early. Also, this vaping stuff that's trickery too. My
Yeah.
niece goes, "Oh, auntie, we need to go to this place, and everybody's doing it." Well,
Hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going along to get along with what everybody's doing.
Hmm.
So we go to the vape store, and the guy goes, "Oh, you'll really like this, ma'am. This is cool. Let me sell you this cute little pen, little case, all that." I said, "Okay, so what's in the vape liquid? It's only four ingredients." Okay, I'm waiting.
Hmm.
Nothing. He couldn't tell me what those four ingredients were. And when they hit the vape pipe, I guess it's like a challenge or something. They want to get as much smoke as possible.
Hmm.
And these kids are, they're vaping marijuana smoke.
Hmm.
Don't get it confused. Marijuana is legal here. Joy,
Hmm.
it is everywhere. And it used to be you get happy, horny, or hungry. It was 3% of the THC for the hallucinogenic. Now you will go into these dispensaries that are like coffee shops on every corner.
Mhm.
Go in and it's 38%.
Wow.
It's become the new cigarette. It smells horrible. You're in a trance-like state. It's
Mhm.
not the happy, horny, hungry anymore.
Mhm.
It's just, you're sitting there, you laid up like lunch meat.
Yeah.
And people are replacing it. Again, like you say, it's taxation, but also big pharma is
Yep.
making money on both ends. They're making money on the fact that you're addicted, but they're also making money on these nicotine replacements and supplements and shots and
Mhm.
all this other stuff. You
Mhm.
have to have willpower
Yes.
and you have to
Okay.
want to do it. That's the thing. You wanted to do it. Well, you wanted to do it because you wanted to save your life. Now, in all transparency, if the doctor hadn't have given you that stark warning that, you were potentially going to, and get a cancer or something like, do you think that you still might be smoking, or do you think that that was the thing that just really did it, or you were tired and you were ready?
I was ready. I was ready. I think it still pushed me to the point, but my partner, she also had been suffering cancer since 2011. And at the time when they said, "We think you're gonna be high risk," I sensed that her cancer was already starting to come back. And so my urgency, regardless about me, was actually taking care of her. Because the last time she had cancer, it was stage 4, and we were lucky to get her through. So this time, when I got the cancer and I was having my surgeries, I said, "Please hurry up. I want a double mastectomy. Take my ovaries out. Whatever you need to do, take out because I need to get home and look after my partner because her cancer's coming back."
Oh,
And one stage, we both had cancer, and I was dropping her at one hospital and I was going to the other one. So the urgency was there because I wanted to take care of my partner, and she hated me smoking. She'd been hounding me since the day I met her. "You don't smoke, do you?" And I was trying for me and I was trying for her. But then the crutch was, well, if I don't, I definitely can't take care of her because something will happen to me. So she's had it twice now. And we've had a scare in the last couple of weeks that she was coming back again. She's just come out of hospital. And, I need to take care of her. Um, and that's the most important thing for me, but I have to take care of me first. It's like having the oxygen mask in a plane.
mhm.
If you need to have oxygen, you need to take care of you first. So if you've got family members, if you know people who are smoking, whether they're male or female, you have to take care of you first. Lead the way. If you're the parent or the sister and you've got family members who are smoking, you think, oh, it's too hard because they're still smoking. You lead the way, you stop smoking.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, then you become part, and it just lingers in you.
Yeah,
And I can only imagine. We should have put up a picture of a good lung and
yeah.
a lung. They say that you can recover, but if the damage is already done,
To a certain
CPOD,
degree.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
CPOD asthmatics.
yeah.
My brother's girlfriend was an asthmatic, and she was
Hmm.
still smoke. And
Yeah.
I don't, and the breath. That was your very first gift, brains, in life. What
Hmm.
what happens is when they bring you out of the womb, they thump your foot or slap your bottom for you to do what? Breathe.
Breathe.
And the very last gift is the breath.
Yeah.
Because what do they say? She took her last breath.
Breath.
What are you doing in between?
Hmm.
What are you doing in between?
Hmm.
Alpha and Omega. You have to really want to do it,
Hmm.
and that's it. But again, that's with food. There's
Yes.
people that eat for entertainment. It's here.
Yeah.
It's here. That's the important thing, is to um grapple with it and grab hold to it and let it know, whatever it is, that it doesn't control you. You control you. It is it's a personal choice. It's a determination. You owe it to yourself. That's like me and exercise. I go walking up this hill. Oh, it's awful. I thought, until I
Yeah.
realized how many people were laying in bed and can't walk.
Hmm.
How many people don't have a beautiful neighborhood like I do to walk in? How many people don't have shoes on their feet to walk in?
Yep. Yep.
So when you look at the pros and the cons,
Yep.
do a little self-assessment. Don't do it for your partner. Don't do it for
Mhm.
your mother. Don't do it for your kids. Maybe your kids. Maybe your kids. Don't do it for your cat, but do it for yourself.
Yep.
Ask you some fun questions because you look like a fun kind of girl. If I came to Australia to visit you, what would you take me to do?
I'd take you across to the paddock because I live 5 minutes to the beach. I'd take you across to the paddock of an afternoon and see how many kangaroos you could count.
Oh, God. Well, I had a run in with a kangaroo. I'm
Okay.
not really a big fan. I
Mhm.
came to Australia on a trip with Ellen DeGeneres, and I went to the wildlife preserve,
Yep.
and I caught myself feeding the kangaroo, but I pulled the food back, and it got pretty aggressive. And
Mhm.
I looked; they are massive and they are
Yep.
strong,
Mhm.
and I didn't know that they could have sex one time, and keep reproducing. Yeah, and the joey jumping between the legs, I don't know. And then there was like more kangaroos than I saw than people in some places. They are
Yeah,
a massive animal.
they
Okay,
are.
so what is it that you could learn from a kangaroo by observing them, do you think, living there and being among them?
That it eats grass,
Mm.
doesn't eat flesh of meat. It eats grass and other plants, and yet it gets enough protein to create the biggest muscles on its chest and create such a huge body. Should reinforce that green is good.
Absolutely.
Having lettuce. So the taste of food, that's one of the things that I look at nature now. Waking up of a morning, instead of waking up looking for a cigarette, I wake up and listen for the birds to tweet
Mm,
because that's a reminder that nature is starting the day.
absolutely.
Looking for the sunrise, not just the sunsets. Being grateful that I'm still here.
Mm,
Taking the breath. I do have some lung damage. I have asthma. I have not emphysema, but I have asthma and I have sleep apnea. But both of them are manageable. But when you touched on about the vaping, here is they've made it illegal to sell vapes, only under prescription now, but kids are still getting it. They're getting it illegally. But it is so bad because what's in the vape you don't know is going to be 10 times worse than a cigarette. So when people
probably.
have a vape, they have a vape, it's like having a carton of cigarettes at a time.
Yeah, and what they do is they flavor them here.
Yes.
Oh, you can have tutti frutti, you can have
Yeah.
banana, you can have,
With
tropical
smoking,
punch.
you can come back from smoking. There is a possibility of coming back. You can clear what lungs you have left. But once you vape and you damage the lungs melt. You can't come back from that. You cannot come back.
All right, my next question. If you were an appliance in the kitchen,
Hmm.
what appliance would you be?
I'd be the jug.
The jug.
I'd take a little while to warm up, but when I'm hot, I'm hot.
All right, well, go ahead with yourself, Hottie. I want to be the refrigerator. I just want to sit somewhere and chill. I want to do that. If you were a car, what car would you be?
Mm, I'd be a Jaguar.
Wow.
I'd be sleek but collectible.
All right, I like that. I'd be a 1974 VW van.
Hmm.
Hippie, kind of laid back. Now, you might get a little annoyed with me, but I would have me a hookah pipe. I would sit there and just enjoy it there on the beach in Australia with the doors open, a
Yeah.
mattress, my fine man, girl. It would be life would be good. If you could time travel, go back to the past, stay here in the present, project to the future. Where do you choose
Hmm.
to land?
I'd go back to the 60s.
Would you?
Yeah. I go back to 1969 and I'd love to really sit there and rewatch the landing of the moon. I remember it, but
Mm.
I would like to go back because that time, it was a time of innocence. I believe that people really respected a lot more about our community, the rights of everybody, not just one aspect. It was everybody. I also thought back then things were a bit more simplistic within families. It got complicated after then.
Well, it was a pretty tough revolutionary time here in America.
Yeah.
Because we had the civil rights where we had to fight for respect,
Yeah.
where we had to acknowledge one another, where women had a voice. And that's, it's coming full circle now. Here we are in 2024, and women are taking back over the planet. We are in this lunar vortex. And I keep telling people, I believe that Australia is a core portal to this transformation. You guys get it?
Yep.
The Aborigines people are documented to be some of the first people on the planet. They have an extra chromosome. There is something that is going there that Gus, God, universe, spirit, is asking us to assess. And I believe that getting clear and getting clean of any substance, even the toxicity in your mind, is important. And I commend you for all that you have gone through with regards to being violated, to being subjected to mental anguish and torture in the sake of healing. And you are still here with the testimony. You are a gift. You are a transformational person. You are a person that can lead us into the next phase of change. So I give you your flowers here today.
Thank you.
Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, and also share with us the workbook and how we can get a copy of that and what's inside.
Absolutely. So go to journeytoquitsmoking.com, and here you can put your name and your email address to get this free ebook. Now, in this ebook, it's Rewrite Your Story, How to Overcome the Addiction of Nicotine. And in here is a step-by-step instructions how I went about into the mindset, the pre-mindset, the stretching of that muscle, and the secret that I had to delay any feelings that I wanted a cigarette on the day that I finish. Also, if you would like to have a one-on-one discussion, I have available on my website where you can book to have a chat with me, a 30-minute free session where we can look to see where you are at now. If you're serious about quitting smoking, I can lead you into the direction of, we can start with the ebook. Then I have a course that's going to be re-released. I have got it released, but it's being re-released in the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, I've got one-on-one coaching. So if you would like to get in touch with me, please book a time with me and we can have a 30-minute discussion to see about your own individual needs.
Well, it is an individual journey, Brains, but you need support. You need encouragement. You need somebody that's going to hold your hand and somebody that's going to love on you on the way.
Yeah.
She's been there. She's not going to judge you. She's going to check you. She's going to check you, keep you in line, and hold you accountable. But that's what friends do.
Yep.
So people that love you do. They hold you accountable. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But the first thing is you got to want to do it. And you have to stay conscious in the present and also set your mind. Thank you so much, Mary, for being Mary. Joy. Thank you, Joy, for
My
being
pleasure.
here. You are a joy. And I thank you for, again, dedicating your life, because you got a lot on your plate. Your health, your partner's health, but also you're caring about other people's health. And that's huge. She's a giver, Brains. Check her out. Go in, love, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Love, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Joy. Come on back and visit us when you have a new healthy habit to share with us.
I shall. Thank you so much, everyone. Great to join you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Brains.